You're looking to complete the Season 2 Team Affinity Program path as fast as possible. This video is going to show you exactly how to do that. So let's get into it. All right, so with Set 2, we got a whole new slew of Season 2 Team Affinity programs. One for each division. Is the exact same as Season 1, and don't worry, Season 1 is still there if you have not completed it, so you can go back and earn those cards that will help you towards the Set 1 collections that included Chipper Jones, Babe Ruth, Pedro Martinez, all of that, but we're on to Season 2. All right, Season 2 is pretty important because on July 7th, when Season 3 comes out, Set 1 cards are no longer going to be viable in ranked seasons, and that is when we're going to really see if this new content change from MLB is going to be as good as it seems so far. So that being said, let's take a look at the best ways to go over and finish Team Affinity Season 2. So as you can see, I've already gotten 20,000 Team Affinity points for each division, and I'm going to show you the best way to attack it first. So one of the biggest changes so far in Set 2 is that the moments now give you 1,500 Team Affinity points, up from 1,000 from the prior, which is pretty big because if you can complete every single one, that's 7,500 towards the actual program. So this first step is going to depend on how proficient you are in the game, but again, I'm going to talk about how to make this a little bit easier for you. The first thing you want to do is the showdown, because there are only 3, and every single time you do a showdown, or the first time, I apologize, you will get both Eastern divisions done for that showdown. So if you do Team Affinity East, you will get the AL East and NL East completed, and that will give you a solid 20,000 Team Affinity points, and it is very quick. If you struggle with showdowns, here is my recommendation. Take the 2 strikes on every single pitcher that you face. Just take the 2 strikes. Once they do that, they will run out of energy faster, and you're more than likely going to see a lot of pitches right down the middle, usually fastballs, especially on the showdown bosses. If you struggle on top of that, if you go and take a look at who the bosses are for each of the showdowns, the final one, if they are righty or lefty, you can go ahead and stack your lineup with each side. But for the most part, these are pretty simple to get done. Again, if you remain patient, you should be able to get this done pretty quickly. Now, if you can't, let's say you try 3 or 4 times and you aren't able to get the showdowns done, that's fine. It's going to take you a little bit more time, but showdowns is really where you should put your focus first to get that first big chunk of Team Affinity points. Now, once you get your first showdown completed and you get 20,000 points towards each Team Affinity program, you're going to get 2 very important packs that will help you complete this program much faster. You are going to get the Future Stars. I'll show you the AL East first, and you are able to pick any of these players. These are henchmen, just like they were in Team Affinity 1, so you pick any of these, you'll be able to throw them in your lineup, and then if you go and take a look, you'll see Future Star missions. You'll be able to complete those by just, again, finishing up and getting parallel points with that player. In my opinion, I would take hitters, because if you take a bunch of pitchers, you can only use 1 pitcher at a time. So I would take a hitter, and then you go in, once you get the 20,000, again, by completing the showdown, you will also get one of the captains. Again, I would try and choose a hitter. Make sure you have 1 pitcher from whatever one you choose, just 1 at least to start, because again, you don't want to be just not having any pitchers available to you, because again, you're working towards these captain stat missions, which are going to be a little bit different because they don't require parallel XP, they just require a specific mission. So for example, I took Kike Hernandez because he's a Red Sox player, and also these captains from Team Affinity Season 2 are awesome because they give you massive bonuses for the entire team, not just live series like it was in Season 1. So Kike Hernandez allows me to put any Boston Red Sox player in my lineup, and he will give you the captain boost, which is massive. Okay, now the next thing to go ahead and tackle, this can go one of 2 ways. If you are sick of playing, moments or showdowns, anything like that, and you don't want to do the moments, that's fine. You can hold off on doing the moments, but what you want to start doing is throwing all of those players from all 6 divisions into your lineup, and then you go to single player conquest, and then you want to go ahead and do one of each conquest really for the division. So take a look at Season 2 West. You want to go ahead and throw all the henchmen in your lineup, so your entire lineup is stacked, so you are making sure you are making the best use of your time. And every time that you complete a henchman mission, you want to go ahead and replace it with another henchman. Make sure that you are always, stacked with your lineup. Now, once you complete the Team Affinity Conquest for each division, that's going to give you another huge chunk of Team Affinity points. So if you go and take a look down at one of the programs, you'll see that for completing the Eastern Conquest, you will get another 30,000 Team Affinity points. That's a massive chunk on top of all of the henchman missions that you are going to complete while going through each of the conquests. Now, again, the goal is to get all of the incognito cards for each of the divisions. And the first one you will get is at 60,000 Team Affinity points. And again, just by doing the Showdown and Conquest, that's 50 right there on top of all of the missions. And that's before you even do the moments. If you ever get stuck, so let's say you are a few thousand away from a Future Stars card or a Captain card or even an Incognito card, that is when you want to go and throw in some of the moments. Okay, again, you don't have to do these right away. You can just save yourself some time by doing them right off the start after you've done Showdown, but I like to play the actual game a little bit. So again, you can save these before you're right before an upgrade. So make sure that you pay attention because you'll have those missions there kind of in your back pocket to get you over the next step to get these Incognito cards or Future Stars or any of the captains. So that way you keep throwing them in your lineup once you're doing all of the conquests. Okay, so now that you've completed all of the conquests as well as the Showdowns, you've gotten as many missions and moments done as you possibly can. What is there to do next? Because again, you don't want to be wasting time when it comes to the Team Affinity program. Well, there is a big change to MiniSeasons, but it is definitely where you want to spend the majority of your time once you have done all the conquest, Showdowns, and the moments at least to get yourself, another huge chunk into the Team Affinity program. So if you go into MiniSeasons right now, you'll see Season 2, Team Affinity. You want to go in here, you can go to Play Now. And what you want to do is you take a look at the goals. Now, before it was make playoffs and all of that, and you get a big chunk of vouchers, but now they've changed it in Season 2 where every single set of 5 wins. So if you win 5 MiniSeason games, you will get 1 voucher for Team Affinity, which is good for 4,000 XP points for that Team Affinity program, whatever one you want to choose. Okay, so if you were to win 5 games in this mini season, you will get a voucher. You can take that voucher of 4,000 Team Affinity points and put it in whatever division that you want. It is completely up to you. Now, on top of that, you've got to remember that the goal of mini seasons is to at least make playoffs. So the goal in season 1 essentially was to get to 14 wins because then essentially you make playoffs in the standings. And again, you can check the standings right here, but 14 wins would basically guarantee you playoffs. So the rest you could load into a game and just quit out and kind of skip ahead. So once you are playoff bound, you will get another voucher for the Team Affinity program of your choice. Now, what I would recommend is just win 15 games during the season. That will get you 3 vouchers and then, an extra one for making the playoffs. You win the semifinals in that playoff round, you will get 2 Season 2 Affinity vouchers, and then when you win the World Series, you will get another 3. This is the fastest way to do it because while you are doing these games and getting this mini season done and all of these vouchers, on top of that, your entire lineup should be loaded with players that will work towards the Team Affinity program. I'm talking Future Stars as well as captains and incognito players. On top of that, if you are close to any of the repeatable team missions where you've got to get 2,000 parallel XP with a certain team, load your team up before the game. You can set your roster every single game. When you go into mini seasons, you don't lock your team for the entire season. Every single game that you do, you can change your roster. So you finish a henchman mission, you can get rid of that card and throw in another one that will help you work towards Team Affinity Season 2. So as it stands, that is the fastest way to complete the Team Affinity programs, but I want to talk about some other things as well in terms of the collections. So we've got new set collections, including the core. So this came up when the Mexico program came out, because those were listed as core cards, which everyone kind of had an issue with because they didn't work towards set 1, which was, again, the Chipper Jones and Babe Ruth and all of that. So people were like, why are we earning these cards? Because they're not end game or anything like that. I personally loved it because Jarren Duran is one of the best players right now for the Red Sox, and he had a great card, well, an okay card in that program, but nonetheless, all of the core cards from that program, as well as any other core cards you earn from completing the live series or any other, the big Nations of Baseball conquest, all those random diamonds and gold players that have core listed on there, you can put these into this set, and at 180 you will get this unbelievable 99 overall Corey Seager Kaiju card that is one of the better cards right now, just again for shortstop and middle infield, and again it's completely free. So that's what you're working towards there with those core cards. So again, if you went back and completed the Mexico program and all of that to get the core cards, you can throw them into this lineup. Now for set 2, which is what you're working on Team Affinity for, because you will get a ton of cards, all of the Future Stars, all of the Incognito cards, all of the Captain cards, they are all in here. All right, so as you're working towards all of this, what you'll end up with is at 95 you'll get this Rich Gossage. Again, unbelievable fastball, has the sinker, and slurve. It's a really nice velocity mix on Gossage every single year, but then it's this one. I mean, I might be a little bit of a homer because Big Papi is my favorite player of all time. Nonetheless, his captain card that came out the 92 overall was rough. This one is going to be fantastic. He has a swing much like Rafael Devers from the left side of the plate. It is just absolutely insane in this game, so he would be another fantastic one. Also has 125 clutch, which is big. Again, a big change from MLB 22 to 23 is that the clutch rating takes over your hitting rating when you have men in scoring position. So just, again, something to keep in mind there. So, and then at 160, which again is going to take you some time, you will get one of these 3 bosses. You'll get this Kaiju 99 overall David Wright, who again looks incredible. You've got Hammer and Hank, which again is just a phenomenal card on defense and on offense. And then you've got the big unit who was electric last year as the live series reward. He's got Outlier on his fastball, splitter, slider, slurve, just a fantastic card all the way around as your starting pitcher. So again, you can choose any one of these 3 are going to be fantastic additions to your team, but that is what you were working towards when you were completing Team Affinity. And again, if you follow the Team Affinity format I just showed you, it is going to get you all these cards as fast as possible. Again, I wouldn't recommend just grinding out everything. I think that Ultimate Team mode games are just kind of too focused on, you've got to have the best cards as fast as possible. Always choose the cards that you want and enjoy the most and players that you enjoy in real life. But don't forget about things like events and things like that, because these are set 2 cards that you can throw in that collection. So if you want to do the events, things like that, make sure that you take a look at doing that. Also, if you are not big on events, I would at least get to the rewind, because you can go back and get any of these cards that you missed in prior events. So at least get the 5 wins, and that way you're at least not falling super far behind in the events programs that come out periodically. And guys, let me know what you think in the comments section down below. I hope this helps you finish off Team Affinity for Season 2 as fast as possible. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.